Meaning of cumulus. Fluffy, white clouds that are often associated with fair weather, but can also develop into larger storm clouds.
Example 1. The sky was dotted with cumulus clouds that looked like cotton balls.
Example 2. The cumulus clouds gathered on the horizon, hinting at a possible storm.
Meaning of stratus. Flat, grey clouds that often cover the entire sky, leading to overcast conditions and sometimes light precipitation.
Example 1. The sky was covered in stratus clouds, making the day feel gloomy.
Example 2. Stratus clouds lingered all morning, but the sun finally broke through by noon.
Meaning of cirrus. Thin, wispy clouds that form high in the sky and are usually associated with fair weather, although they can indicate a change in the weather.
Example 1. The sky was streaked with cirrus clouds, signaling that the weather might change soon.
Example 2. Cirrus clouds are often seen ahead of a warm front.
Meaning of nimbus. A type of cloud that brings precipitation, such as rain or snow, often dark and thick.
Example 1. The nimbus clouds overhead meant we should expect rain soon.
Example 2. The sky was full of nimbus clouds and soon it began to pour.
Meaning of downpour. A heavy and sudden rain that often lasts for a short period of time.
Example 1. We got caught in a downpour on our way to the store.
Example 2. The downpour was so intense that the streets started to flood.
Meaning of squall. A sudden and violent gust of wind, often accompanied by rain or snow.
Example 1. The boat was hit by a squall, making the waters rough.
Example 2. A snow squall suddenly enveloped the town, reducing visibility.
Meaning of thunderclap. A loud and sudden sound of thunder, often startling.
Example 1. The thunderclap was so loud that it shook the windows.
Example 2. We heard a sudden thunderclap right after the lightning struck.
Meaning of thunderhead. A large, towering cloud associated with thunderstorms and severe weather, typically a type of cumulonimbus cloud.
Example 1. The sky darkened as a massive thunderhead formed above.
Example 2. We could see the thunderhead in the distance, signaling an approaching storm.
Meaning of tornadic, relating to or resembling a tornado, involving or capable of producing a tornado.
Example 1. The storm system had tornadic potential, so we took cover.
Example 2. Tornadic winds ripped through the area, causing significant damage.
Meaning of cyclone. A large-scale system of winds rotating inward to an area of low atmospheric pressure, often associated with severe weather.
Example 1. The cyclone brought heavy rains and strong winds to the coast.
Example 2. Cyclones can cause widespread damage, especially in coastal regions.
Meaning of typhoon. A tropical storm in the region of the Indian or Western Pacific Oceans, similar to a hurricane.
Example 1. The typhoon made landfall, bringing torrential rain and flooding.
Example 2. Coastal cities were evacuated ahead of the approaching typhoon.
Meaning of avalanche. A mass of snow, ice, and rocks falling rapidly down a mountainside.
Example 1. The skiers narrowly escaped the avalanche as it roared down the slope.
Example 2. Rescue teams searched for survivors after the avalanche buried several cabins.
Meaning of landslide. The sliding down of a mass of earth or rock from a mountain or cliff, often triggered by heavy rain or an earthquake.
Example 1. The landslide blocked the road, cutting off access to the village.
Example 2. Heavy rains caused a landslide that damaged several homes.
Meaning of mudslide. A rapid downhill movement of a mixture of water, rock, and soil, typically caused by heavy rains.
Example 1. The mudslide destroyed several houses in its path.
Example 2. After the heavy rains, a mudslide covered the highway in debris.
Meaning of visibility. The distance one can see as determined by light and weather conditions, often reduced by fog, rain, or snow.
Example 1. The dense fog reduced visibility to only a few feet.
Example 2. Visibility improved as the rain started to let up.
Meaning of solar radiation. The energy emitted by the sun in the form of electromagnetic waves, including visible light, UV rays, and infrared radiation.
Example 1. Solar radiation is strongest during midday when the sun is directly overhead.
Example 2. The Earth's atmosphere absorbs and scatters some of the solar radiation that reaches the planet.
Meaning of UV rays. Ultraviolet rays are a type of electromagnetic radiation with a wavelength shorter than visible light, but longer than X-rays. They can be harmful to the skin.
Example 1. Prolonged exposure to UV rays can increase the risk of skin cancer.
Example 2. Sunscreen is essential to protect the skin from harmful UV rays.
Meaning of anemometer, an instrument used to measure wind speed.
Example 1. The anemometer showed that wind speeds were reaching dangerous levels.
Example 2. Meteorologists use an anemometer to monitor wind conditions during storms.
Meaning of barometer, an instrument that measures atmospheric pressure, often used to predict weather changes.
Example 1. A sudden drop in the barometer reading usually indicates that a storm is approaching.
Example 2. The barometer is an essential tool for forecasting weather.
Meaning of hygrometer, an instrument used to measure the humidity or moisture content in the air.
Example 1. The hygrometer indicated that the humidity levels were very high.
Example 2. We use a hygrometer to monitor the indoor humidity to ensure comfort.
Meaning of thermometer, an instrument used to measure temperature.
Example 1. The thermometer showed a temperature of 25 degrees Celsius.
Example 2. I used a thermometer to check if I had a fever.
Meaning of wind vane, a device that shows the direction of the wind.
Example 1. The wind vane on top of the barn always points in the direction the wind is blowing.
Example 2. The weather station's wind vane indicated a shift in the wind direction.
Meaning of rain gauge, an instrument used to measure the amount of rainfall over a specific period.
Example 1. The rain gauge recorded 3 inches of rain during the storm.
Example 2. Farmers often use a rain gauge to monitor precipitation for their crops.
Meaning of dew point, the temperature at which air becomes saturated with moisture and dew forms.
Example 1. When the temperature drops to the dew point, dew forms on grass and other surfaces.
Example 2. The dew point is an important factor in predicting fog and frost.
Meaning of heat wave, a prolonged period of excessively hot weather, which may be accompanied by high humidity.
Example 1. The city experienced a heat wave that lasted for over a week.
Example 2. During the heat wave, people were advised to stay indoors and stay hydrated.
Meaning of cold snap, a sudden and brief period of very cold weather.
Example 1. The unexpected cold snap caught everyone off guard, and temperatures dropped below freezing.
Example 2. Cold snap lasted only a few days, but it caused significant damage to crops.
Meaning of polar vortex, a large area of low pressure and cold air surrounding the Earth's poles, which can sometimes extend into lower latitudes, causing extreme cold.
Example 1. The polar vortex brought record low temperatures to the northern United States.
Example 2. The polar vortex disrupted normal weather patterns, leading to a colder than usual winter.
Meaning of wind chill, the perceived decrease in air temperature felt by the body due to the flow of air, especially in cold conditions.
Example 1. The temperature was 30 degrees Fahrenheit, but with the wind chill, it felt like 20 degrees Fahrenheit.
Example 2. Wind chill can make cold weather feel even more biting and uncomfortable.
Meaning of heat index, a measure that combines air temperature and humidity to estimate how hot it feels to humans.
Example 1. The heat index was 100 degrees Fahrenheit, even though the actual temperature was 90 degrees Fahrenheit.
Example 2. The heat index helps people understand the potential dangers of hot and humid weather.
Meaning of updraft, a strong upward current of air, often found in thunderstorms and other types of severe weather.
Example 1. The updraft within the thunderstorm was strong enough to lift small objects into the air.
Example 2. Updrafts are responsible for the development of severe thunderstorms and tornadoes.
Meaning of downdraft, a downward current of air, typically found in thunderstorms, and can cause rapid temperature drops and sudden wind shifts.
Example 1. The downdraft from the storm caused a sudden burst of strong winds.
Example 2. Pilots must be cautious of downdrafts when flying near storms.
Meaning of wind shear, a sudden change in wind speed or direction over a short distance, often causing turbulence.
Example 1. Wind shear can be dangerous for airplanes during takeoff and landing.
Example 2. The severe wind shear disrupted the flight path, causing turbulence.
Meaning of air pressure, the force exerted onto a surface by the weight of the air above it in the atmosphere.
Example 1. High air pressure usually brings clear skies, while low air pressure can lead to storms.
Example 2. Changes in air pressure can affect the weather and are closely monitored by meteorologists.
Meaning of high pressure, a region where the atmospheric pressure is higher than the surrounding areas, typically associated with calm, clear weather.
Example 1. The high-pressure system brought clear skies and pleasant weather to the region.
Example 2. High pressure often leads to sunny days and cooler temperatures at night.
Meaning of low pressure, a region where the atmospheric pressure is lower than the surrounding areas, usually associated with stormy or unsettled weather.
Example 1. The low-pressure system caused heavy rainfall and strong winds.
Example 2. Low pressure often results in cloudy skies and precipitation.
Meaning of weather map, a map showing the state of the weather over a large area, often including information on temperature, precipitation, and wind.
Example 1. The weather map showed a cold front moving across the country.
Example 2. Meteorologists use weather maps to predict future weather patterns.
Meaning of isobar, a line on a weather map connecting points of equal atmospheric pressure.
Example 1. The isobars on the weather map were close together, indicating strong winds.
Example 2. Isobars help meteorologists understand pressure systems and wind patterns.
Meaning of cold front, the boundary where a cold air mass is replacing a warmer air mass, often leading to a drop in temperature and stormy weather.
Example 1. The cold front brought thunderstorms and a significant temperature drop.
Example 2. You can often feel a sudden change in temperature when a cold front passes through.
Meaning of warm front, the boundary where a warm air mass is replacing a colder air mass, typically bringing gradual warming and extended periods of precipitation.
Example 1. The warm front caused steady rain and increasing temperatures throughout the day.
Example 2. A warm front can lead to prolonged periods of cloudy and wet weather.
Meaning of occluded front, a complex weather system that forms when a cold front overtakes a warm front, often leading to varied and prolonged precipitation.
Example 1. The occluded front resulted in several days of mixed weather, including rain and snow.
Example 2. Occluded fronts are associated with mature storm systems.
Meaning of jet stream, a fast-flowing, narrow air current found in the upper atmosphere, which can influence weather patterns.
Example 1. The jet stream shifted, bringing colder air down from the north.
Example 2. Pilots often use the jet stream to reduce flight times.
Meaning of trade winds, steady, consistent winds that blow from east to west just above and below the equator, often used by sailors for navigation.
Example 1. The trade winds were crucial for sailing ships crossing the Atlantic Ocean.
Example 2. Trade winds help regulate the Earth's climate by moving warm air and moisture.
Meaning of westerlies, winds that blow from west to east in the mid-latitudes, often influencing weather patterns in temperate regions.
Example 1. The westerlies brought a series of storms across the continent.
Example 2. The westerlies are responsible for much of the weather experienced in Europe and North America.
Meaning of easterlies, winds that blow from east to west near the Earth's poles and near the equator, also known as polar easterlies and tropical easterlies.
Example 1. The polar easterlies brought cold air down from the Arctic.
Example 2. Easterlies can affect the path of tropical storms and hurricanes.
Meaning of sea breeze, a breeze that blows from the sea towards the land, typically occurring during the day due to temperature differences between the land and the ocean.
Example 1. The sea breeze provided a refreshing break from the heat on the beach.
Example 2. Sea breezes can bring cooler temperatures and more comfortable conditions during hot days.